May peace on earth be powerful. May power on earth be peaceful. May peace on earth be powerful. May power on earth be peaceful.
May peace on earth be powerful. May power on
Shalom, dearest Yael. My name is Conrad. After your wonderful, wonderful concert at the Pax Terra Musica Festival near Berlin, end of July, I had the opportunity to sneak around backstage and get your email address. So I was able to contact your team, Dina and Anjali, because since I came across your wonderful music, and then after I listened to the interview you gave to Katrin Seibel in Hanover a few years ago.
I really connected to some really higher thing at the time. And as part of the things, I felt that I need to go and make peace. And it's not something that I thought. I felt it.
From the innermost bottom of my soul, I feel this really inner urge to get the information to you, which I'm going to try to explain in this little video. I'm part of a peace movement that since like 40 years or even longer, 60 years, is organizing peace projects all around the world. And we can look back at a lot of projects where we successfully created peace. And it's a movement that Maharishi Mahesh Yogi, here you see a picture of him, founded beginning of the 60s. And I was lucky to join this movement in 1976 when I was 13. In this video I will give you a short selection of samples where you can see how powerful this approach is. And I don't know why I feel that urge, but I feel this information will be useful for you in your future work. Just that you know that something like this exists, and that the mechanics which I tried to explain are working behind the scenes, the obvious scenes of our phenomenal world that actually cause war or cause peace. And once we know to handle those mechanics, then we can create peace in a really effortless way, which especially enables women to do it, because you don't need to go outside on the street. You just network amongst as many other women as possible, and then you just sit somewhere comfortably and quietly and enjoy yourselves in the innermost layers of your soul, and thereby automatically radiate an incredible influence of harmony and peace all around your group. Long speech, short meaning. Let's dive into some new layers of knowledge and understanding of how us humans actually function and how the mechanics of peace and war actually are working. Maharishi explains that as humans, we are composed out of different layers, like our gross physical body, and then our breath, energy, and then our consciousness, which also is composed out of different layers, like our attention, where we look, where we hear, what we smell, what we taste, then our intellect, and then the innermost layer of our transcendental innermost being. From our tradition of knowledge, we know that this innermost transcendental level of our own being is a very important level if you want to understand the mechanics of collective peace, because it connects us to our environment. There's an underlying field which in quantum physics is called unified field, and the ancient Vedic seers, the Vedic rishis, they identified this field to be also the source of everyone's consciousness. That is the level where the impulses of our thoughts come from. And through this level, everyone is connected in one big ocean of consciousness. And with each thought, with each feeling, with each word and each action, everyone is contributing to this collective cloud of collective consciousness. And when millions, billions of people constantly feed this collective cloud with fear, aggression, frustration, resignation, then those tensions accumulate in this collective consciousness, and nature can only bear a certain level of tensions in there. And then when they reach a certain limit, there are laws of nature that lead for those tensions to release, so that nature can function again. We humans are part of nature, and the good message is we don't have to wait until this destructive release of tensions, this destructive stress release in form of wars, social unrest, even natural calamities, but we can dissolve and harmonize those tensions before they accumulate to this critical mass. And that is where transcending comes into play, where we as human beings, with the help of the transcendental meditation technique, can dive deep within ourselves and enjoy that level of peace, connectedness, unity, harmony. And by enlivening that level within ourselves, we automatically also enliven it in our environment, and thereby neutralize all those tensions, stress, and disharmony that otherwise will lead to collective destruction and catastrophes. And another good news is that we were able to prove many times, if 1 out of 100 in a population is practicing transcendental meditation twice a day, 20 minutes, this will create this field effect for the whole environment of peace, harmony, protectedness. And even better news is that if we can't organize 1 out of 100 doing this for their private joy in their home, independent of each other, then if we could organize a group of the square root of 1% in a population to do it together in a group, and on top of it practice the TM City program, which is an advanced program of the Transcendental Meditation technique, the same effect as if 1% of the population would sit at home at different times and transcend independent of each other. So the only thing for us left to do is organize ourselves in groups, create those washing machines, inspire our friends around us, and then purify collective consciousness twice a day in our collective transcending practice for our own joy, our own happiness and well-being, and thereby take away the basis of war and destruction. Now, the big question arises, did we already do this? And the simple answer is yes. Over the decades, we proved that this knowledge, this technology actually works. In acute conflict situations where we were able to end the killing and the shooting and murdering within a very short time, or even solved decade-long conflict situations within the same very short amount of time, just by taking away the stress from collective consciousness that was the cause of those conflicts, and then creating a long-lasting, permanent peace situation that does not depend on contracts and negotiations, which over and over again prove to be useless and not working at all. As soon as the collective stress reaches a certain limit, it has to explode and release, and that always is happening in collective catastrophes and destruction. And if we don't allow this collective consciousness to accumulate that stress, then we have a really easy and wonderful way to create and maintain peace. In 1981, the by now world-famous author and by now leader of the Transcendental meditation movement, Dr. Tony Nader, managed to teach Transcendental meditation technique to 1% of the population of his hometown Baskinta in Lebanon, thereby creating this field effect that prevented this town from destruction. Nobody got hurt, nobody was killed, and the people from the surrounding villages actually, as word spread, moved to Baskinta in order to enjoy this safety and protectedness. During the same time period, a friend of mine who was running a TM center in Beirut managed to organize regular group meditations where practitioners of the Transcendental Meditation TM City program regularly met in order to perform their group meditation in a small group, which was not big enough to cover whole of Lebanon or even Beirut, but they observed the same phenomena on a smaller scale. Whenever they did their practice, the bomb shells and explosions and the killing in the surroundings stopped, and then it lasted a little time, and when they went back to their respective homes, the whole thing started again. But it proved that even on a small scale, people are able to create that effect and thereby create peace as much as it is possible from a small group in their surroundings. And even on the individual level, the connectedness to that underlying unified field seems to create an individual protective shield, which is demonstrated by the following story my friend from the TM center in Beirut told me. He was traveling with a friend in a bus, and then there was a road blockage, and the militia called everyone to leave the bus and stand in a row, and then they started to execute people. And when it was the time for the two friends to be shot, the commander said that they should go and not be shot. And then my friend asked why they were spared, and the commander said he saw some like glow around them, and which signaled to him that he should spare them. Another friend of mine from former Yugoslavia managed to convince the mayor of his hometown during the Yugoslavia war to create a big group of citizens that regularly morning and evening met in a fire brigade hall to practice their group practice of the TM and TM City program, thereby creating a large enough field effect for their town, 500,000 inhabitants, so that no casualties, no killing, no destruction happened in that town. And the citizens made jokes that the Americans must have had the ashtray standing on the map where they planned their airstrikes over Saranjanin. So it got spared, and the mothers made a game with their children whenever the sirens were sounding. Whoever was first inside got a reward, some treat. And the participants of that group after the war got honored in the town hall for contributing towards the protection and safety of their town. When the former president of Mozambique in 1992 learned the Transcendental meditation technique, he also was informed that with this technology one is able to create long-lasting peace. He went for it, and 2 years later in 1994 introduced the TM and TM City program in his government, in the military, in the prison system, in school system, thereby within a very short time ending the decade-long civil war that was devastating Mozambique over several decades. After that feat, President Chissano became a spokesman for this, our movement of peace-loving people, and introduced the idea to fellow statesmen, presidents, one of them having been Nelson Mandela, who after coming out of prison ended the apartheid in his home country, South Africa, which had the effect that South Africa was on the verge of collapse because the accumulated tension in collective consciousness was released in a really destructive way. So President Mandela, together with Maharishi, formulated a program to end the civil war in South Africa by organizing groups in the educational system in schools. And friends of mine actually founded a university, the Maharishi Institute in Johannesburg, where they opened an open university in which students could enroll and do an education, and then afterwards go back to their villages, hometowns, and spread the knowledge and the technology to their fellow citizens. Washington is supposed to be the murder capital of the world, with an incredible high rate of murders basically every day or every other day. And in 1993 the municipal government of Washington invited our peace movement to create the field effect and thereby reduce the crime rate. And during the summer holidays, a group of 3,000 TM practitioners assembled for a period of 4 weeks, and the project was observed and documented by the police and official authorities and social scientists, independent social scientists, and the outcome of the study was that this field effect, this group of meditators transcending together in a group morning and evening was able to reduce the crime rate with approximately 20%, which is an incredible feat and so far unknown. And it showed once more how effective and powerful this technology is. Another saint of peace would be Pater Gabriel Mejia of Colombia, who in Medellin used the Transcendental Meditation and TM City program to help young children and teenagers into a desirable life, and at the same time creating the field effect with that big group that eventually led to the final peace of the civil war that was raging for decades in Colombia, for which the president of Colombia got rewarded with the Peace Nobel Prize. In Thailand, another success story unfolded starting in 1990 when Buddhist nuns founded the Dhammajarinee Witthaya school for orphan girls.
Nuns who recognized the urgent need to support girls' education in Thailand and constructed residential and classroom buildings for 20 orphan girls without access to education. Buddhist nun Dr. Anampai Pasakchai has been the school's director and champion since 1993.
95% ของเด็กหญิงเหล่านี้มาจากครอบครัวที่ยากจนกำพร้าเป็นเด็กชาวเขาและผู้ลี้ภัยรวมทั้งภูมิหลังอื่นๆที่มีความเสี่ยงการให้การศึกษาเป็นการพัฒนาชีวิตอย่างยั่งยืนดังนั้นการให้พลังแก่เด็กหญิงผ่านการจัดการศึกษาแบบองค์รวมและมีคุณภาพสูงทำให้พวกเขาสามารถทำลายวัฏจักรของความยากจนและประสบความสำเร็จในสิ่งที่เขาต้องการในชีวิตได้
Since times immemorial, the Himalayas have been the source of spiritual wisdom and the goal of the spiritual seekers. Therefore, it is only but fitting that the women of the Himalayan region of northern India organized themselves to practice transcendental meditation and the TM City program in groups for their own personal benefit and empowerment, and at the same time creating the field effect, possibly for the whole region, to harmonize it and radiate that influence of harmony, peace, nourishment to the whole area.
We were joined by Nobel Peace Prize winner, Lama Bowie. Meeting her and hearing her tell her story changed my life, because I realized that if they did it there, this could be done everywhere.
So to end the killing in Gaza and prevent any more violence or war for the future, if we could organize women, children, soldiers, men to meet morning and evening in groups, dive to their common basis in the innermost core of their own soul, enjoy the benefits for their own happiness, well-being, health and well-being, and automatically creating the field effect that will neutralize any collective tension from accumulating, thereby removing the basis for violence, destruction, war. Let's do it today or tomorrow or the day after, and then once and for all forget about war. So let's join our hearts and hands and feet and unite on that innermost, deepest level of our own soul for our own joy, happiness, fulfillment, health and well-being, and automatically merge into one unbounded ocean of consciousness that gets in motion, and with one big wave or daily big wave sweeps away all that nuisance that hinders life and destroys and creates suffering once and for all. Please allow me, dearest Yael, to close by expressing my heartfelt innermost thanks for everything you are doing, for everything you have been doing, and first of all, having followed the impulse of your heart. And dearest Yael, in case you would like to network and connect with other women around the world who tried this approach and would love to share their experiences, I would feel more than honored to be able to, combine forces and see what can be done, and just get cruising. All love, and thank you so much for everything. Shalom, Salam, Frieden, Shanti, Mir.